Hello, it is the 22nd of January and we are live for the view from the top. And oh my gosh, what a week it has been. We have had, thank heavens, a ceasefire and we have had the inauguration of a new president, Trump 2.0. We have had a flurry of executive orders. So much has happened, and we continue to celebrate our wonderful women leaders in global mobility. People coming in from all over the world. We've got people from, we've got Ray's here, we've got Stephanie from Chile, Philly. People are coming in from all over the world. So much to talk about today. So you know how it is, everybody. Join in the conversation, write in the comments box, tell us who you are, where you are, what your news is, what your views are. The more you interact, the more exciting the show is for us, and the more exciting the show is for everybody else in the audience as we all join in. We've got Rob joining us from frosty Cambridge. It seems to be cold everywhere at the moment, doesn't it? These bad weather is coming in, apart from my wonderful producer Tally, who of course is in Thailand and enjoying the warmth. But for the rest of us, it is cold. Now, if you want your CPE codes, we have CPE codes from ERC, from SHRM, and from HRCI. I'll put the codes up here. So many thanks to our really good friends at Worldwide ERC for giving us those GMS and CRP codes. And also many thanks to our great friends at Rocket Mortgage for getting us the codes from HRCI or SHRM. I'll leave that up there for a few more moments. So if you want to get those codes, then just jot them down. What about next week? Well, next week, we've got another really interesting subject for you. And again, I think it's the first. Next week, we're going to be talking about managing parental leave and global mobility. Now, are you somebody who has been on maternity leave or paternity leave or family leave? Or are you someone who has covered for somebody else? Or are you someone who has worked with somebody? Maybe you've had a boss covering your normal boss and the boss has been a maternity cover. What's it like? How does it work when you do maternity leave or family leave in the global mobility function? That is the topic of next week's session, and it is going to be super interesting. And we've got joining us next week 3 global mobility professionals, one who has done maternity cover, one who's been away on maternity leave, and one who is currently away on maternity leave. So it's going to be a really fascinating conversation next week. Anyway, what's been going on around the world? I mean, obviously, I've mentioned these small things of ceasefire agreements and inaugurations, but in our world, much more importantly than any of that, what's been going on in the wonderful world of global mobility in the last 7 days? Let's have a look. So there we have it, and congratulations to everyone who's been promoted, everyone who's got a new job. Congratulations to everyone at Dwellworks and Court for that, coming together, those 2 great companies. And of course, there's lots of jobs out there. So if you are looking for a job, There's lots of jobs. Head of global mobility at OpenAI. Well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Lots of really, really exciting jobs out there. So if you're looking for a job, then hopefully that's helped you. If you've got a job that you want to publicize, or you've had something in your career you want to publicize, maybe you've been promoted or you've got a new job, let us know and we'll try and see if we can't get you in the news, the breaking news for next week. So we're going to be moving on. We've got Julie Onslow Cole joining us, and obviously there is just so much to talk about with everything that's gone on in the last week. And whilst Julia's talking, here's a question that actually I'll just leave out there with everybody, which is, how do you think Trump 2.0 is going to impact global mobility over the next 2 to 3 years? And here's the question. Do you think volumes are going to increase? Do you think it's going to make no difference at all? Or do you think volumes will decrease? Well, whilst you're thinking about that, let's bring on to stage Julie Onslow Cole, who'll give us the update both in the US and globally in terms of what we think is going to happen from an immigration perspective following the recent presidential inauguration. So you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's bring onto stage Julia Onslow Cole.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, what a week. What a week. You must have been
amazing.
So busy.
Amazing. Right. So I'm just going to give an update, and I'm going to, as Brian said, I'm going to give it from a US perspective and also then from a global perspective. So as we know, President Trump was inaugurated on Monday, and he immediately announced a series of executive orders. Executive orders come directly from the president, and they set out policy. Sometimes they set out new instructions to government, or new interpretations and instructions to for agencies to follow things. Now, the most important ones, there are a whole slew of them, focusing on the environment, energy, immigration, but just focusing in on immigration and highlighting the important ones. First of all, there was a big rescission of Biden's executive orders. It was a sweeping executive order that rescinded many of his executive orders, and including the ones that the Biden administration had introduced to help attract STEM skill talent and to make it easier for that talent to be and critical skills to be hired in the US. So that has been swept away. There were no travel bans issued. A lot of people thought there would be travel bans, but there's lots of clues in the executive orders about what we might expect. So there was an instruction to federal agencies to look at travel restrictions in the next 30 to 60 days. And they're looking particularly at countries where they don't share security information. So we can see already the timelines of likely travel bans, and the reason.
What sort of countries might those be?
Maybe, I don't know, Iran, for example. Where you're not going to get that flow of security information coming in with the person. The third thing is enhanced vetting. So an executive order requiring enhanced security screening and vetting. And you should almost immediately expect more extensive screening, almost immediately on applications. Then hugely sort of controversial in causing a lot of email traffic is the restrictions on birthright citizenship. Children born after February the 19th. I've had lots of emails asking if it's affecting their baby that's here now. It's children born after the 19th, and there's already been legal challenges. Next is America First trade policies and directing.
Just on that one. So any woman who is pregnant, who's in the US on, say, an H-1B visa or a tourist visa or student visa at the moment, and the baby is due after the February the 19th, then the citizenship of that child will be dramatically different depending on challenges. Is that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all up to challenges. I mean, lots of legal challenges have been made already, so I think it's hard to say that for sure.
Right.
So American First Trade Policy, it directs the federal agencies to conduct a review of unlawful migration, and we expect that might have some impact on employer-sponsored foreign nationals. Then gender identity restrictions. So at the moment, you can have a US passport, with a different third gender. So those options will go, and on immigration documents, they will become unavailable. Termination of humanitarian.
What does that mean? Sorry, do we know, what does that mean then if you've got somebody at the moment has got a passport with a third gender? Will they have to apply for a new passport, or will they be grandfathered in some way? Or
yeah, I mean, I think the thing about this, Brian, is that these are sort of executive orders that have been thrown out there, and there's not a lot written around it. So there will be policies that will be formulated around these. The suspension of the US refugee program, and there's a number of executive orders focused on the border and internal enforcement and the US-Mexico border. Now, as I say, the travel bans, which everyone thought might come in from day one, haven't happened. And we're looking at 30 to 60 days. We've got some clues about those. A lot of the other things, will require us to wait and see and really see what, how these play out. It's not really, quite clear. But we do expect, it's important for all the things that I've said before. It's very important that everyone's very strict about compliance, that you will have that everyone's documents are in order, and one thinks in an incredibly compliant way about everything. Now, I just wanted to say today about what all of this means for companies that are not in the US, because that little update's very much a US focused update. Yeah. If you're a company, you're a big global company, and you're not, you have US operations, but you're outside the US. So the three things that I think companies are concerned about, these are what I think, is that first about tariffs. So that's really important about what happens with tariffs, because tariffs are going to affect your supply chains, where you manufacture. The second thing is the impact on the global economy, because if prices are increasing, because say tariffs come in, so people put up the prices, that's going to cause a rise in inflation. If you get a rise in inflation, then governments are more likely to put up interest rates to try and reduce the inflation, reduce the spending. But for companies with high interest rates, that means your cost of borrowing is going up, and it means it's much harder for you to obtain investment. So in addition to this worry about, the impact of tariffs on the economy, you've also heard in the papers, frontline news in the FT today, is potential tax implications on foreign companies operating in US if there's retaliatory actions. So
something about doubling the rate of tax?
Yes, it's to do with a sort of, retaliation for what might happen for US companies operating outside the US. So all of these things, that's the second thing that companies are concerned about, is costs and the economy. And then the third thing is the ability to keep moving people. So those are the three major things. Now, I just want to say that on Monday, what you saw was that because on Monday, President Trump didn't announce anything immediately on tariffs, although it was a public holiday, if you look at the S&P 500 futures, it really rose on Monday because the tariffs weren't mentioned. And then the dollar fell. And then a few hours later, President Trump was asked by reporters, well, what about tariffs? And he said, oh, yes, I'm going to put 25% on imports coming from Canada, 25% on imports coming from Mexico, and I'm going to do it on the 1st of February. And immediately the markets wobbled. So you can really see that real acute sensitivity to what is going on over the last few days. And this is going to continue, and the market's going to be fairly bumpy. But the good thing, I think, is that economists who are pronouncing on this from yesterday are actually predicting that, the stock market will rise during 2025 and that the US economy will be actually quite resilient. And so it won't have, it won't have a really negative outcome that it could potentially do from an economic point of view. Now, if you're head of global mobility and you are sitting there and you are thinking, what do I need to do? What you really need to do is you need to understand how your company's growth strategies might be impacted by what's going to happen, particularly with tariffs. And I want to just give 2 examples of this. So if you're based in Europe, what you've seen is that Europe is likely to fare badly on tariffs. And so the European Union have been very good over the last few days, and they signed a trade deal with Mexico, and before that they signed a big deal with a number of countries in Latin America. Now, what this means is that there's going to be good trade deals between Latin America and EU. So if you're sitting in a company that's headquartered in Europe, they might very well be looking to take advantage of that trade deal, which may mean that they need to move people to Latin America. So you need to be ready to support the company's growth strategy and with ideas about, for example, how you can move people to Latin America. And then similarly, we're seeing a lot of movement from China, outbound of China, a lot of interest in Europe. You'll have seen the news that the Mercedes-Benz chief said, why don't we let Chinese companies set up manufacturing plants for cars in Europe, trying to turn around the situation about what's happening geopolitically. So, again, if you follow China, you're seeing a lot of outbound moves. So again, that's something that you can support with. The final thing is on the impact of the economy. Because of what I'm explaining, this little bumpy ride that we're going to be facing all of this year, it's really important that you support your companies in trying to cut costs, saving costs. So you think strategically about how you move people. Are there cheaper ways of moving people? Are there cleverer strategies of moving people? Then keep them apprised of increase in immigration fees. We've seen a huge increase in the UK and actually globally. And then ensure that they're compliant, because one of the things, and I talked to Brian about this in the week, we're likely to see a bit of a contagious effect from some of these big policies in the US. They're going to seep over into the globe. And certainly compliance, I think, is one of those big themes, immigration compliance. And with all the rise of the right-wing governments in Europe and elsewhere, this is a big thing. So make sure your companies don't have any fines for compliance. So that's my little update.
That's an amazing update, Julia. Really, really appreciate it. And as we said, they're so glad you're here for your insight today of all days, this week of all week. But although it is a US thing, as you say, these things do tend to become slightly contagious, because not least because the federal government is obviously a huge employer, and they might force things on their contractors to say, well, we're doing this, we expect your contractors to do the same. And there's other areas that I know we're going to get onto later in the show, but areas like work from home or work from office and diversity and inclusion, and all these sorts of changes that we're seeing now, I think are going to start, if they come into being in the US federal area, it may actually start becoming more relevant, in friendly companies, in contractor companies, and then around the world. But Julia, thank you so much for that update. Yeah. We're now going to move on. We're going to bring Matt from Benevo on before we get on to our main session, which of course is meeting our 2 wonderful women leaders in global mobility, Moya Kimber and Naima Alvi. They're all to come. But first of all, everybody, hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button. Let's say a big, big thank you to Julie Onslow Cole, and let's welcome to our stage Benevo's very own Matt Cheek. Hey, Matt, follow that.
Hello.
What are we going to be talking about today?
Well, I have a couple of fun and exciting updates for everybody. The first one is that I wanted to point everybody's attention to a kind of wrap-up piece that we are doing to celebrate the conclusion of the top 250 women leaders in global mobility list and recognition that we did at the end of last year. We now have live on our site a McClelland-inspired analysis that is entitled "The Critical Role of Women Leaders in Global Mobility," and it is a paper that anyone can go and.
Yeah, and we'll put that on screen.
Yeah,
we'll put that in the comments box, or just go to the Benevo website. Really, really important thing to make sure you download and read.
Absolutely. It examines the exceptional women leaders in global mobility, how they demonstrate distinguishing characteristics of outstanding leaders and bring a complex and unique perspective to the field. So a very interesting read, available to all on the website right now. The next update is a very exciting new addition to the product suite at Benevo that we have launched last week, which is the launch of Benevo's Immigration Management Hub. And as I think we all just got a taster for, management of immigration processes is getting complex. Compliance requirements are going to be incredibly important in the world going forward. And taking another step towards Benevo's vision of adding a full suite of capabilities to manage the upstream work and the downstream work and all of the work that global mobility teams need to manage, we have introduced the Immigration Management Hub. So that is a new set of tools and functionality to not only manage the people who are going on assignment or relocating from A to B, but to manage and monitor and track the services and forecast the budgets for the entire sponsored workforce. We're very excited about this tool. It kind of expands the coverage that we can offer to global mobility teams, and we have 2 events coming up to introduce it. And those are, I thought you were going to leave me in. Those are.
Tell me what they are. Yeah.
I will. They are a corporate-only webinar that you can sign up for right now. That is happening on February 11th. So if you are a corporate team who is managing the sponsored workforce, needs to manage all of the workflow around that, please come and check it out. We're going to introduce all of the new additions to the Benevo platform in that session. And if you are generally interested about this area of the market and about this new tool set, we're doing a show on this great show on Wednesday, February 5th, to introduce the concept of the Immigration Management Hub and how it fits in.
Absolutely. Matt, thank you so much for that update. Really, really insightful, helpful. And you said there's 2 things that great document to download about women leaders in global mobility, and of course the various events surrounding the launch of the really exciting Immigration Hub. Thank you for that. We're now going to move on. We've been running the top 250 list, and obviously we produced that at the end of last year. Last week we had 2 wonderful women who are on our top 250 list. This week we have another couple of wonderful women on that list, and we're going to be bringing them on stage now. And we have created another little song, and we've gone a bit country and western. It's a bit of, I suppose, our nod to Naima, who's in Houston at the moment. So we've gone a little bit Texan, a little bit country here. The song is called Blazing Trails, and it's all about our wonderful women trailblazers. So everybody, get your cowboy hats on, your boots on, get your feet stomping, and join us tap your feet as we welcome to our stage Moya and Kimber, Moya and Naima, and we say farewell to Matt. So everybody hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's meet two of our wonderful women leaders in global mobility.
Dusty roads and boardroom floors. These women know what they're fighting for. The 50 more names on the rising list, changing the world with their golden fist. Blazing trails, mobility's heartbeat never fails. From hometown dreams to global might, these women shine so blazing bright. Boots on the ground and vision clear, breaking barriers without any fear. Strategic minds with heart of steel, showing the world what women can reveal. We're blazing trails, mobility's heartbeat never fails. From hometown dreams to global might, these women shine so blazing bright, but we're bright.
Hey, welcome to the show, Naima and Moya. So very, very nice. Mother said, loving, Brina, you've changed my name. Love the Texas-inspired song. Bra, now we got it right this time. So anyway, there we go. Anyway, first of all, to both of you, congratulations for making the top 250 list. I mean, anybody who was nominated, amazing achievement. It was always hard to cut it down to just 250. But congratulations to the two of you. Moya, let me start with you. Just tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? Tell us. Just give us the introduction.
Hey, so obviously my name's Moya. I've been with Oracle 26 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I live in the UK. I'm based in Oxfordshire, but I'm based in the Thames Valley Park offices in Reading. I have a team of 6 in EMEA, and globally we have 25 or 6 global mobility team members. So, yeah, we're quite a big group. And
Naima, tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Naima. I am based out of Houston. I'm taking care of global
snowy Houston. I
snowy Houston. I know we've really enjoyed this one day snow that we've had in Houston. So yes,
I can't get my head around that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's unprecedented. Right. So I'm based in Houston at the moment, and I'm looking at global strategic mobility policies for SLB. I've been with the company for the last 16 years. I'm an expatriate here in the US. I was transferred here from Dubai 5.5 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So, and for people who don't know your companies, I think most people will know of Oracle and SLB was Schlumberger, SLB. But for those who don't know, so starting with you, Naima, just what does SLB do?
Right. So SLB has, formerly known as Schlumberger. We are a leading oil field services provider. We recently rebranded a couple of years ago to be SLB. We are a technology and innovation-driven company. So we have a big technology focus as well as oil and gas services.
Okay. And Moya, tell us a bit about Oracle.
So Oracle was founded many moons ago by Larry Ellison as a database service provider. And obviously over the years, we have transformed our focus. And currently we are predominantly cloud-based, and obviously have the recent announcements moving into AI as well.
Yeah, because you saw that huge announcement just yesterday, this Project Stargate. So that's obviously
it's quite exciting, isn't it? So we purchased or acquired Cerner We've just finished acquiring Cerner. It's been our biggest and longest acquisition. And that's what really Larry wanted to do, to inspire and move Oracle into the healthcare provision service side of things.
Those people that don't know what we're talking about, is President Trump announced just yesterday a $500 billion investment in AI involving Oracle, SoftBank, and someone else who's I've forgotten for the moment. Oh, OpenAI is involved. And I think there's some other companies. I think Nvidia's involved as well. So there's some major investment going on, and that I believe is being run through data centers, which is where your company. I appreciate it's not your role, but that's the back.
Well, some of it is right now, believe it or not. Some of it is, but not in the States.
Yeah. So interesting times. So anyway, just tell us a bit about yourselves, your family background, your background. So Moya, tell us a bit about that. And the reason I ask is, and I know it's very stereotypical and wrong, but somehow when we talk about women leaders, family issues, it always seems to fall more down on the women than the men, and that just seems to be one of those things in society. But Moya, just tell us a bit about yourself.
So I am a proud mum of two children, an 18-year-old and a 23-year-old. The 18-year-old's just finished her A-levels and is in a gap year, ready to go to university later this year. And the 23-year-old has just graduated with a BA in exercise, sports and exercise science. So he's currently looking for jobs if anybody's got one. The reason I've been with Oracle for so long, as well as they've been a fantastic place to work, is they have allowed me to fit my career and being a mother and a wife into the role. And so they've supported me in my choices to work part-time or longer or shorter hours. And then when I'm ready, or I was ready, they came to me and they offered me more in the role and the position, and I moved into this role 3 or 4 years ago when my predecessor retired. So I think they've always thought internally rather than
I think
I'm very grateful.
This whole work from home question in a moment, and return to office, because it's such a topical issue, again with executive announcements literally yesterday or the day before. So Naima, from your perspective, so you're from Dubai, you're born and bred Dubai, but you moved 5 years ago to Houston. So tell us a bit about your family background.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Dubai. I am originally Pakistani. With regards to my background, I have been with SLB for 16 years right after university. I have a little boy. He's 9 years old, and he has moved with me. I am a single mother, and I took on this expatriate assignment as a development role, moving to Houston, which is where we have our HQ as well. And it has been a very interesting journey, and one that could not have happened had I not had the support of the leadership. For a single mother to move across continents, the fact that SLB promotes diversity and leads from top down in terms of promoting this aspect has been very phenomenal, I would say. So this move has been obviously challenging, but also very, very rewarding because I've had the support of people around me.
I think single parent expats is a subject that, and I know you've very kindly said, yes, we're going to get you back on. We're going to do a whole show on that subject because that is such an important subject. But from your point of view, let me just ask you a little bit about that, because I mean, the first thing is it's hard to move cross-border when you're divorced without the permission of the other spouse. I mean, how did that work in your case?
Yeah, so I think in my case, the best thing has been that my ex-partner was supportive. He had understood my career goals anyway, and the fact that we have had a mutual agreement, and we keep the child's future in our mind when we make certain decisions. So even now, any decisions that I do make, which would require me to relocate, will still involve discussions with my ex-partner. But that support is important to feel empowered to make such a big move. So not everything has to be, negative all around. But yeah, so for me, that really has helped and that has worked.
I must say, I'm full of admiration for you. I mean, you moved. We're talking about your son was 5?
4. He had just turned 4. Yeah.
Okay. So your son was 4. You moved from Dubai, which is one culture, to Houston, which is a very different culture. And did you have friends there, family there when you moved to Houston? Or was it completely?
No, it was a completely different environment for me. I did not have any family here and no friends, but what had really helped was the fact that I made friends because of the expatriates within SLB. So that has been, and through the ERGs that we have within the organization and support groups that we have within the organization. So for expat moving, the fact that I was able to connect with people from within my organization, now I have a really, really strong support network of friends who are, I wouldn't be able to do my assignment without such a network, to be honest. And a lot of them are from SLB itself. So in the beginning, it had been challenging, but it wouldn't have been possible unless I had that, my manager support and guiding me in the right direction in terms of, getting involved with these ERGs as well.
Okay, because I mean, again, I know it's a stereotype we talked about, but women tend to be the primary caregiver either to the children. Indeed, we won't talk about it on this show, I don't think, but elder care as well, we touched on the last show. But what happens then when you have business trips? I mean, Moya, what about, I know your kids are a bit older now, but if we go back in time, when your kids were young and you had business trips, how are you coping with it then?
So again, majority of the trips were either sort of inter-region and infrequent, I would say, simply because of the nature of the role. You don't tend to go out onto site a lot, but they would have been internal meetings. And
your company headquartered in the Bay Area, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So into that, as well as regional meetings in EMEA. Sorry, the dog's just come in.
Let's make this dog famous.
Mox, come here.
Oh, we're gonna have a dog.
Come here. No, he's gone. He's been removed, thankfully. So I did beg your pardon. So traveling was very, very difficult, and a lot of it actually was me not wanting to leave the children, as well as not having the network to support me. I was very lucky, and my mum was able to assist with my husband, did a bit of shift, but I didn't travel for quite a while because they were so small. And again, really super lucky with my management. They allowed me to log in for anything that they felt I couldn't miss. And so I would stay up late into sort of into the UK evening time wise and attend those calls. And then obviously as they've got older, it's been easier. And now we have very little travel.
Yeah, I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? Because now it's easier to work from home.
Yeah.
Actually, you need it less, but back in the day, it was harder to work from home. In the day.
I know. Yeah, it's hugely ironic and a little bit annoying, but there we go. It is what it is. So.
But anyway, you made it and you climbed the.
Absolutely. And again, I couldn't have done it if they hadn't been flexible with me. I am very, very lucky. There are a lot of employers that wouldn't have done that. And I tailored my hours. And worked short days, so I wasn't full time for a great deal of time. And then when they were older, and then again when I moved into this, I came back full time.
And Naima, how much travel do you do?
Yeah, so in my role, I don't have to travel so much now, and this is because a lot of the meetings, the internal meetings that we have, Houston being our HQ location, a lot of the people tend to come here for those meetings. And one of the things that did come about was post-COVID, when it was really realized that not all meetings need to be attended in person anymore, and we can all call in. Where we do need to go in person, we do end up going. But for me, for example, again, the flexibility aspect with my management has been phenomenal for me, because I cannot leave my kid here. I don't have family, like I said. But when I moved here, I moved in a role where I was looking at compensation for North America and some of South America as well. And that required a couple of trips within the US. My management did help with, recognizing the fact that I would not be away for more than 2 days. While I was away, my child would be with my network of the close friends that I had made. And again, it is difficult to make such a decision. But thankfully, I didn't have such a lot of traveling to do. And not because I didn't want to, but also because it kind of worked out with COVID. For a long time, there was no travel that we had to do. And then whenever it did start, I didn't need to do it as such because of the flexibility provided.
What about this sort of, the unexpected things, medical appointments or, calls from the school or,
those happen. And, the child fell down and hurt himself and I have to rush to the school for that, or, something or the other happens. But again, it is something that I feel very grateful to my company, my management for, that they understand that this is something that is a part of life. So, they would not, and it's not just something that they would give to me in consideration because I'm a single mother. This is something that is ingrained in our culture, that, work is there, and then there are these emergencies or family responsibilities, and we work around that. Needless to say, if I have to leave for such emergencies, I do get back, and then I end up, working whatever it takes to do what I need to do to complete my work, right? So, but that flexibility or feeling comfortable to go to my management and say, hey, I need to leave. It's something that has happened or something that's going to happen or whatever. That comfort level has been provided by the leadership. It's not just something that can come up.
Yeah, I sort of get that. I mean, it's all about the quality of the way your organization treats you returns how you treat your organization. I remember once reading in some business book that, they were talking about motivation and employee motivation. And the phrase was, if you want an employee to do a good job, give them a good job to do. And I always thought that was incredibly wise words. But what it sounds in both your companies is that your employer has been incredibly insightful, empathetic, and that has actually been rewarded by the way you've treated them. Now, the reason I'm saying this is we're moving into a world where the whole sort of work from home thing that was the silver lining of COVID, people seem to be rowing back on, and we're seeing, more and more companies talking about return to work and sort of saying you need to be in the office more and more. How is that impacting you, and how do you think it's impacting, society generally? What trends are you both seeing? Moya, what's your experience?
So we are flexible still across the board. It is down to organisational lead and how they wish to run it. My team are predominantly remote, but some of them go in. I try and go in at least once a week if I can. It's down to personal preference within my team. I know they're working. It doesn't matter where they are. I don't need to micromanage them. I'm very lucky that they are phenomenally supportive of me, and so I try and do the same for them.
So shout out to all your team members there who
and to my peers and to my leadership team as well, because they allow me to be supportive. So it is. I mean, when my children were Naima's son's age, I was 100% office based. And in order to be able to achieve that, I had to do a short day. I went in after school pickup, drop off, and I came home at school pickup. And then I logged back on later if I had very important things to deal with. But it's very different these days. And the underlying message I give to the team is, as long as they're doing the role that they're supposed to, then it doesn't matter where they are and what they're doing.
Emma, we're watching, and thank you, Moya. Shout out to Emma there and the others who are commenting. That's it. When you're live, you never know who's watching.
Emma also made your top 250, so I was phenomenally proud. Yeah. So yeah.
Absolutely. And Naima, just from your perspective, I mean, how's your organisation supporting you?
Right. So we have our flexible policies in place. We're a hybrid across most of the world, I'd say. So we are expected to be in the office 3 days per week. For me, particularly in my role, a lot of it is global calls that I have. So my day may start at 6 a.m. in the morning and end at like 10 p.m., depending on which time zone I'm dealing with. So I may not necessarily go all those 3 times into the office, because a lot of my calls are with the other part of the world, are in the first half of the day. So that flexibility is there with the organization, because again, it's about getting the work done. It's about making sure that there are no lapses in anything, right? So, but I do try to go in as often as I can. There are other parts of the world where I do know that we've had employees go in every day. It also comes back to the real estate footprint that we have now. I mean, throughout COVID, we let go of a lot of our real estate, right? So if we want to bring everybody back full time, we need to look at whether we have those facilities to be able to bring them back now. So it is something that I think we will think about, but I have not been hearing news that it's a big push for people to start going back every day of the week. But yes, there is a push for 3 times a week.
Okay, let me move on to a different subject. I'm going to take it, actually, Ferzine said this, and I'll move on from it. She said, supportive leadership is essential. Without a great manager, navigating work life can become significantly more challenging. And that's going to lead me into actually what makes a great leader. I mean, it goes without saying that you guys are obviously great leaders. That's why you made our list. But without being unduly personal, just taking it generically, okay, here's a question, okay? What single characteristic most distinguishes a truly exceptional global mobility leader? Okay, so what is it that makes somebody stand out as being truly exceptional? And I actually did a poll on this, and I'll give you some thoughts of areas you might want to go to. Maybe you want to talk about they need the vision, or the passion is a word we had when we were talking about this the other week, or it may be about innovation and creativity, or it may be about being a team player and being collaborative, or it may just be that they're actually just very, very good at their job. They're technically competent. Now, I'm not going to let you say they're all important. That's cheating. We all know
they're all important, but they are.
Not allowed. No, I mean, obviously, we know they're all important. But if you had to go for one that makes the difference between being very, very good and being absolutely exceptional, what is it that makes a person truly exceptional as a leader? And I'm asking the audience the same as well. So audience, feel, shoot in and we'll put your answers. So Christian said being interested in other people. Everything else stems from that. Okay. So Moya, what would you say? What is the one thing that separates great from good?
So I have to go with the collaborative approach, simply because I am not Oracle Global Mobility on my own. I am the sum part of my whole team. We all work together, and I feel that I need to engage and include and update and provide them with information as I have it, to enable them to do their jobs. The one thing I've often found, and this hasn't been the case specifically with Oracle, it's as I've been growing up at school, in education, through parents, is being protected from a piece of information, which actually has the opposite effect. It doesn't help. You can plan when you have more information. You can plan, you can be successful when you collaborate. And whilst I like vision and passion, the collaborative and team approach is the thing that really calls out to me.
Okay, and Kate said communication. That was her one thing. If you can't articulate your message, it will fail. Naima, where are you on this scale? Are you on the passion leadership scale? Are you on the teamwork?
Yeah, no, I think it's an excellent question, and I am, quite in line with what Moya has mentioned with regards to the teamwork and collaboration. But I do feel that the teamwork and collaboration does need direction as well, and so the vision and passion is something that I would say that if I had to choose between the two, I would probably give slightly higher to vision and passion, because I think any leader, whether it's a global mobility leader, but specifically talking about global mobility, knowing that it is a field that is something that we're now talking about a lot more, it's becoming something on its own. It was not like that before. We need to have leaders who have that strategic insight, or want to bring mobility to the table, or have those discussions, have that passion to talk about this fast changing environment that we're in right now, and bring it and align it with the long-term goals of the organization. So I think vision and passion is important. It also then drives into motivating the people within the team to work for you, and so that way that the collaboration and the communication aspect would be really clearly driven. Innovation is another, I feel that that's a byproduct of when you know which direction you're going, then you can come up with innovative ideas and creative ideas to reach that destination. So yeah, I think I would say in order to drive change within, the function, you need to have that vision or that passion to do so.
Okay, I know Tamara came up, and Tamara said a passion for people. A leader's role to look after people, the people look after the work they're hard to. The great thing about these polls is there's no right answer, no wrong answer. In terms of what the audience said when we did a poll on LinkedIn, here we have it, is 35% said it was vision and passion, 23% said innovation, 35% said team approach. So actually, you drew. The one thing that virtually nobody said, 6%, so apologies those who did say, but very small percentage, said technical excellence is, maybe that's just assumed it's a given, and that it's just assumed that you're good at the job.
I think it's that foundational knowledge. That's a requirement of the job anyway, right? That's something that's required, I would say. But whether that sets apart a leader from anybody else I would say would probably be the least important characteristic that way.
Yeah. I sort of get that. So moving on then, you both got kids. So if you like, succession planning isn't the right word, but sort of, you are growing the next generation, literally. And what guidance would you give them, or indeed any sort of team member coming into a team, to become a truly great leader, an inspirational leader? If we talked about, what guidance would you give to a junior person, be it your own kid or just some new graduate who happens to be joining you on the team? What words of wisdom would you pass on to the next generation?
You have to have the ability to listen. You have to have the ability to take yourself, it's almost empathy, put yourself in their shoes of the person. It doesn't matter what level they are, what position they are, where their area of expertise may or may not be, but listen and then understand and then act appropriately. And I think if you can do that, then you shouldn't have too many issues through life, obviously apart from the people that don't like to listen and the people that don't agree with that. But to me, it's listening to people, because then you know exactly what you need to do. And I would say that to both of, I do say that quite regularly to both of my children, is that, you know, you need to have empathy, you need to be kind, but at the same time, you need to be strong, and you need to stand up and have the courage of your convictions. And my daughter is everything I wish I had been at that age. And if I could turn back the clock, I would probably like to have a little bit more confidence in myself as I move forward. And she has that. And I hope that some of that has come as a result of what I've installed in her. But kindness and
what are your kids' names? Let's give them a shout out.
Oh, so I have Sam, who is my son, and then my daughter is Frances.
Okay, well, Sam and Francis, congratulations! We've made you famous on LinkedIn, and you should be very proud of your mum.
So the plant behind me, in fact, both the plants behind me, the orchid is actually Lego. I have a passion for Lego. My daughter bought me that for Mother's Day, and then the snakehead plant is about triple the size it used to be. But my son sent me that from university when he heard that I'd been promoted into this role. So there you go.
And Naima, we're getting towards the end of the show, but tell me, what tips would you want to pass on to your son?
Yeah, I mean, I think I resonate with what Moya has been saying so far. I feel, but what I would say and what I do tell him now is be curious. Don't be scared to find out and to ask questions or to find solutions. And this is where innovation comes from. And I think where we're headed towards in the future is all about new solutions or new way of doing things. And I think the new generation is already gearing up and, you know, moving towards that direction of let's think out of the box. So I do feel that having, you know, not being scared of asking questions, but also at the same time showing that empathy and being, you know, grounded in order to listen to people around you, take in what you're hearing, what you're getting as information, and then draw your conclusions out of it. So I think that's one of the things that I do talk to him about as well. He's small, he's young, but he is very curious. He was very curious as to why I'm doing this show and what does it mean? Can he walk in right now? And can he
bring him in.
I don't think that's a good idea right now. There'll be a lot more questions from him, and I don't think we'll be closing the show. So.
Oh, I love this being curious thing. Team curious, I think something.
Yeah, it's an excellent.
Yeah. The world needs more curious people. Absolutely. Anyway, we're getting very much towards the end of the show, but just really to finish up, there's been a lot in the press in sort of coming out of US government about DE&I at the moment. I mean, is that something that you guys feel passionate about, or do you think it's, and you've got like 30 seconds to answer this, or do you think the world's gone too far and needs to row back?
I think at Oracle, we're very passionate about a culture and inclusivity. And just yesterday, we had our HR town hall and we had a big session on it. And I just think it's something that we should continue to do. It's along the lines of kindness as well. I think we need to be inclusive. We need to engage with everybody and stop, you know, excluding people simply because of their beliefs or just, you know, how they are.
Yeah, I don't think we can go back to where we've come now. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Even with us as an organization, diversity and inclusion, we actually have a director for diversity and inclusion. So it's that big, you know, it's a big deal for us. And so, again, it goes to empathy, you know, within the organization. It's about accepting different people, different opinions, and going back on it now would be like stepping back. I just don't see us doing that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes, though. So
exactly, it's going to be very, very interesting because I believe quite a lot were placed on administrative leave just yesterday around the federal government. So I mean, that I'm sure is a subject we're going to get into another time. We are, however, out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on our other guest, Matt, and of course our wonderful producer Tally, Julia has had to leave us for another business meeting. It has been inspirational, Moya and Naima, having you on the show. We've really, really appreciated it. That has been the View from the Top for this week. We are back again next week when we're going to be talking about parental leave, which is a huge subject, which, as far as I know, has never, ever been discussed at any global mobility event ever. So this is a real first. So whether you're interested in parental leave in the sense that you've been on parental leave, you're going on parental leave, you're currently on parental leave, you're covering for somebody, or indeed you've got somebody on your team who's covering for somebody on parental leave, we're going to cover all the angles this time next week. So everybody, do join us next week. My name is Brian Friedman. This has been The View from the Top. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and have a great, great week.